You need money. Not tomorrow. Now. You find the listing at 11:47 p.m. on a Tuesday. A plain white ad on a research board. Paid psychology study. $200 per day. No experience required. Limited spots. You click it. You fill out the form. You don't read the fine print. Nobody ever does. Level 1, the room. The building doesn't look like a lab. It looks like an office park in the suburbs. Generic, forgettable. That's the point. You check in at a front desk. A woman smiles, gives you a badge with a number on it. Not your name, a number. Subject 047. You sit in a waiting room with 6 other people. Nobody talks. Everyone stares at their phone. You notice one guy keeps reading the same paragraph over and over without turning the page. A man in a gray shirt comes out. Dr. Ellison. He shakes your hand. Firm grip, warm smile. He explains the study. Simple stuff, he says. Reaction tests, memory tasks, pattern recognition. $200 per session, 4 sessions total. $800 for a week of easy work. You sign the consent form without reading it. You always do that. The first task is identifying shapes on a screen. You click a button when you see a triangle. That's it. For 40 minutes. It feels almost insulting. This is what $800 looks like? You leave with cash in your hand. You come back the next day. Level 2. The questions. Day 2 feels different. Same building, same badge, but the waiting room has fewer people now. 4 instead of 7. You don't ask where the others went. Dr. Ellison takes you to a different room, smaller. The chair faces a screen and a microphone. He tells you this session is about emotional response mapping. He shows you images. You describe what you feel. Simple. Except the images aren't simple. A mother holding a child, a car crash, a man standing alone on a bridge, a dog lying still in the road. You answer honestly. You're not thinking about it. You're just talking, earning money. But the questions get specific. When you saw the man on the bridge, did you feel fear or relief? You pause. When the child was crying, did you feel sympathy or irritation? You answer. You keep answering. At the end, Dr. Ellison reviews his notes and says, "You're very self-aware. That's rare." It feels like a compliment. It isn't. You leave with another $200. That night you sleep well. Probably better than you should. Level 3. The isolation test. Day 3. The room has no windows. You didn't notice that before. You notice it now. Dr. Ellison explains today's task. You'll spend 6 hours in a controlled environment. Alone. No phone, no clock. You'll complete small cognitive tasks whenever a light turns green. 6 hours feels long, but the pay has been raised. $300 today. You go in. The room is white. A desk, a chair, a water bottle, a small screen. The light turns green. You do the task. You wait. Green again. Task. Wait. At first, it's boring. Around hour 2, it starts getting strange. The light intervals change. Sometimes it's every 5 minutes. Sometimes it's 50 minutes. You have no way to track it. You start feeling disoriented, anxious. You drink the water. You do the tasks. Somewhere around hour 4, you start talking to yourself. Not sentences, just sounds, just to hear something. When the door finally opens,
Dr. Ellison is standing there with a clipboard and a slight smile. "You lasted longer than most," he says. You want to ask what that means. You don't. You take your $300 and drive home in silence. You don't turn the radio on. You don't know why.
Level 4. The other subjects. The fourth session, they changed the format. You're not alone anymore. There are 3 other subjects in the room with you, all wearing the same numbered badges. Nobody introduces themselves. Dr. Ellison calls you by your numbers. Today's task: group decision-making under pressure. A scenario appears on the screen. A crisis situation. A team has limited resources. Someone has to be removed from the group to save the others. You discuss it. You argue. You rationalize. You vote. You don't notice until later that every scenario ends the same way. Someone always gets removed. Someone always gets left behind. And whoever argues most logically for the removal, Dr. Ellison marks their sheet with a small red star. You got 3 stars today. He tells you the study has been extended. New rate 500 per session. You agree before he finishes the sentence. On your way out, you pass a hallway you haven't seen before. Down at the end, there's a door with a keypad. You look at it for a second too long. An assistant appears from nowhere. Friendly voice, firm redirect. Bathrooms are back the other way. You smile, you leave, but you remember the door. Level 5. What they know. Week 2. You're the only one who came back from your original group. New faces now, new subjects. They look at you the way you looked at the others in week 1. Nervous, curious, slightly competitive. You realize you're not a participant anymore. You're a benchmark. Dr. Ellison pulls you aside before the session. He says the study has a secondary phase for high-performing subjects only. More immersive, more complex, compensated accordingly. He slides a folder across the table. Inside is a psychological profile. Your psychological profile. Every answer you gave, every emotional response, every hesitation, mapped out, categorized, labeled. They know your attachment style, your fear responses, your dominant decision-making pattern, your tolerance for guilt. It's more accurate than anything your therapist ever said. You should feel violated. Instead, you feel seen. That's the most dangerous thing they could have done to you. You sign the new agreement. Compensation, $2,000 per week. You don't read the fine print again. Level 6. The simulation. The new phase takes place in a different building. Nicer, quieter. The kind of place that costs money to look this simple. The task is called an immersive scenario test. You are given a role, a name, a backstory, a small earpiece. For 6 hours, you live as this character inside a constructed environment. Offices, a fake apartment, actors playing coworkers, actors playing family members. Dr. Ellison's voice in your ear gives you micro instructions. Tell Marcus you trust him. Act upset when she leaves. Ask about the documents. Stay calm. You do it. You're good at it. Frighteningly good. At the end, they debrief you. What did you feel? When did it feel real? Did you ever forget you were performing? You hesitate on that last question, because somewhere around hour 4, you did forget. You were just living it. You tell them, yes. Dr. Ellison nods slowly and writes something down. That night, you try to remember your own name, and for half a second, you have to think about it. You don't tell anyone that. You come back Monday. Level 7. The offer. They stop calling it a study. Now they call it a program. Dr. Ellison introduces you to a woman named Dr. Voss. She doesn't smile. She doesn't try to make you comfortable. She tells you the truth. which is somehow the most unsettling thing anyone has done in this building. She explains that what you've been participating in isn't academic research, it's applied behavioral modeling. The techniques being tested here are used in high-stakes environments: corporate negotiation, intelligence work, behavioral prediction systems. You are, she says this plainly, one of the most adaptable subjects they've encountered in 11 years of research. They want to bring you on as a consultant, not a subject anymore, a professional. $60,000 for a 3-month contract. You look around the room, the clean walls, the quiet hum of the building, the woman with the flat eyes and the honest voice. Your brain says something is wrong here. Your mouth says, where do I sign?
Level 8. What the job actually is. The work starts immediately. You review profiles of new subjects. You flag behavioral patterns. You suggest adjustments to scenarios. You watch sessions through one-way glass and take notes. You are now on the other side of the mirror. At first, it feels like insight, like expertise. Then, one afternoon, you're watching a subject in the isolation room. White walls, green light, water bottle. The same room you sat in 5 weeks ago. She's on hour 5. She's rocking slightly in her chair. Her lips are moving, but no sound is coming out. You write in your notes, high dissociative response, recommend extended protocol. You click submit. And you don't feel anything. That night, you sit in your car in the parking lot for 20 minutes before you realize you were supposed to drive home. Level 9. The profile update. You find your own file by accident, a mislabeled folder on a shared drive. You open it thinking it's a subject file. It's yours. Not just from the first weeks, updated, current. They've been documenting you this entire time. Every decision you made since joining the program, every note you wrote, every emotional reaction or lack of one. Your sleeping patterns tracked through the building's access logs showing what time you arrive and how long you stay. There's a section at the bottom called Trajectory Assessment. Under Phase 2 Compliance, Exceptional. Under Empathy Degradation Index, Accelerated. Under Long-Term Recommendation, Full Integration. Subject no longer distinguishes between role and identity. You read that last line 3 times. You close the folder. You go back to work. And the worst part? You don't quit. You tell yourself you'll quit tomorrow. You've been telling yourself that for 2 weeks. 6 months later. You're sitting across from a new subject, young, nervous, needs money. Found the listing online at 11:47 p.m. You shake their hand, firm grip, warm smile. You explain the study. Simple stuff, you say. Reaction tests, memory tasks, pattern recognition. $200 per session. They sign the form without reading it. You watch them go into the room. White walls, green light, water bottle. You pick up your clipboard. And somewhere underneath everything, under the professionalism, under the salary, under the numbness, a voice that sounds like the person you used to be says, "Get out. Tell them. Stop this." You click your pen. You write the date at the top of the page. You don't listen to the voice. You never do anymore.